right, good morning. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Lots to take a look at here this morning as the market's just about to open up here. Futures down about 5 points. Okay, futures down about 5 points. You can see what that looks like in the context of yesterday. It's very, very small as far as a pullback in the context of yesterday. Off of that big move. You'll see kind of as the market opens up here, most everything is just slightly red. Including Boeing down about 20 cents, Apple down about $2. Everything just slightly in the red, okay? And that's not atypical as far as after a day like yesterday in the market. To see just slightly lower opens. Is that bearish? Well, no, not necessarily. In fact, rarely is it bearish. In fact, most times you end up seeing a little bit of sell in the morning and buyers step in a little bit late. In 2013 and 2012, a lot of times after days like yesterday, we've seen some very strong follow through. So, there are arguments that the bears will make and say, hey, you know what, this is kind of a stupid rally, kind of a relief rally, but the bulls sit back and say, hey, Christmas rally on board, everything's set to move higher. Boeing here, you'll see it's pretty much flat this morning. Okay, no real movement. It had been trading a little lower pre-market, up just a little bit now. The Boeing trade, the way we set that up, and let me come in here to the chart. The Boeing trade overall, we set it up so that, hey, if we did get a little bit of a pullback here today, it wasn't going to be painful as far as the challenge goes. And if we do get a nice move higher, it would pay off nicely, for those options. Overall, Boeing really did well on yesterday's rally. Boeing actually ended in the red yesterday, which was very different from a lot of stocks. But notice the high volume surge on Boeing in the last 2 hours of the day that created that kind of surge up. It participated strongly in that rally, and given some of the news and the way the news cycle on Boeing had been going, yes, it didn't have a $4 up day like some of the other stuff out there, but still was poised in a very good position. So, no plans to really mess with this here today. We are looking for a 145, maybe even a 150 target. Looking to hold on to this for a week and a half here. Okay, let's go take a look at the steel sector. Many of you are in AKS. Okay, and AK Steel here, last night after the bell, they came out and said that they raised their earnings projections. Okay, and one of the things with AK Steel, I want you to take a look at from a fundamental standpoint. AK Steel, book value, -4. You rarely see book values that are in the negative. Earnings, they're losing money. So why would we be talking bullish about AKS? Well, stocks that are like this, where they've been losing money, they tend to have very strong rallies as they shift from a period of losing money to making money. Okay, as they shift from negative earnings to positive earnings. The news on AKS here today is that they expect fourth quarter earnings to go positive, this quarter. It wasn't expected till next year. They actually had negative earnings projections for this year, and they came out and said, hey, we're going to have positive fourth quarter earnings. Now, just slightly positive, but that's very strong news for AKS. AKS, we had talked about it hitting, the $650, $640 range as being kind of the price target. With this news, it is a catalyst to start taking this into $7, even $8, as this going from negative earnings to positive earnings is happening even faster. Okay, now this is benefiting U.S. Steel. Okay, U.S. Steel here, Trend Rider bull signal, Vibe bull signal, just a fantastic looking chart here on U.S. Steel. Carl will be with you as the day progresses here for a potential entry here on U.S. Steel. Now, Nucor has been getting hit here as some of their earnings projections, they came out and lowered them. So what AKS did was kind of the opposite of what Nucor has been doing, and the AKS earnings or announcement here does bode well overall for Nucor. Okay. So that's what's kind of going on in that group, in that sector at the moment. Is it viable? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Let's take a look here at Apple. Apple had this kind of this nice little dragonfly doji. A gap up this morning would be very positive for Apple. It didn't get that. It has not gotten that gap up here. Actually, still pushing lower. Still not able to push above the 7. Still not really a great entry right here just yet to say, hey, let's full blown go after Apple at this point. Okay. Tesla. Tesla pulling back here a little bit this morning. In my notes, I have a break of 144 would be pretty bearish. Okay, a break of 144. Yes, it's breaking below the 7 right here this morning. Is that necessarily bearish? No. But if it's able to start to close below 144, maybe even sit below 144 2 or 3 days, that would kind of say, all right, some of this uptick is off, and we're ready to kind of have a significant pullback on Tesla. For now, not really. Kind of like, AK Apple in no man's land, Tesla kind of in no man's land right here. Perhaps the biggest mover today, gold. Okay, gold's getting hacked. Gold initially kind of mounted some gains after the Fed yesterday, then reversed real hard into the close. Has reversed in some of this selling has kind of come into play here, where it's breaking down below 117 and coming really back and testing some of these June, July lows. Okay. As far as gold and the gold miners are concerned, this is very negative action. Stocks that are trading in the lower right hand corner of the chart, they tend to fall. And there's every catalyst there for it to continue to go down, with the Fed tapering, with the dollar starting to gain some strength, with the overall negative downward trend here on gold. Would I go after and short gold here, right now? No, probably not. But any little bounce on gold really becomes shortable. Those that want to be buyers of gold, okay, we have been talking gold above 122.5, the GLD above 122.5, we could be buyers at that point. At this point, 122.5 is a long way away. You want to be a little more aggressive. Well, let it get above about 117.5. Then, okay, maybe you can play a bounce in gold, play gold higher, until we get that very difficult to look to play gold, higher. Okay. Here's Boeing. You can see some of the morning action trading in about $1.50 range here. Nothing from a technical significance standpoint. Really kind of like much of the other stuff in the market here. But holding into this 133, 134 area, those that are looking to get in anywhere in this area is a very nice spot here, overall for Boeing. As far as bonds go, no real movement after yesterday. Financials pretty flat this morning. As I just go through this list, you'll notice most everything's red, but from a percentage standpoint, just slightly into the red. Okay, perhaps one of the biggest movers today, or most significant movers, is Facebook. Okay. And Facebook, it was announced today that Zuckerberg was going to sell, Zuckerberg and Facebook were going to sell over $2 billion worth of their stock. And typically that's negative news. Okay, typically that's negative news. But with the momentum that Facebook is on, And with where it's at and with the percentage of what Zuckerberg is selling, it doesn't necessarily have to be a sign that it's ready to pull back hard. Overall, Facebook is still in a bullish position. It's kind of steepened some of its uptrend, and some of that is coming off a little bit. If we kind of let me zoom in here and show it to you, but we've kind of had this, this upward trend here, and now some of this upward trend is steepened. And you can say, well, the news is breaking that trend. Well, yeah, but you want to see what the news reaction is. If Facebook's just being bought up on this selling news from Zuckerberg, then that tells you Facebook has a lot higher to go, and fundamentally it could still continue its rise. So, is today's action necessarily bullish or bearish? No. If you're looking at Facebook from a bearish standpoint, I would want it to start to break 54 on this news to be able to do that. Okay. AK Twitter. Okay. Twitter here has had a pullback from 59 down to about 54. So while it doesn't look like much of a pullback, that was a pretty big pullback. Okay, and what did that pullback do? Pulled it right back to kind of the normal trend line, the 7. Twitter starts to push up above about 57 from a technical standpoint. Looks good. Not sure how much of the Twitter trade is really technical versus fundamental at this point, as there's not a whole lot of chart history to really kind of base things off of. But it's had a strong pullback, and to find a little support here would not be surprising. Apple. Sorry, my email. Just looking at my email here. Apple. Look, there's no confirmation from yesterday here, but this isn't abnormal action for something like Apple. And I'm in an hourly chart on it, but notice the surge up yesterday on big volume. Today, kind of just pulling back within that action from yesterday. Okay. Within that action from yesterday overall, and that's nothing. It's nothing overly bearish, but it's not. If we look at it from a daily standpoint, is this thing ready to move, or still ready to continue to retrace? And so far, it hasn't given any confirmation to the upside to say, hey, let's rush after Apple and go play that aggressively. Okay. 1T, good point here on Facebook. Facebook's being added to the S&P 500. Managers have to, to get in that there is a bullishness to that. So yes, absolutely, that is an effect here. As long as Facebook's able to hold on to the 54 area. The trend is still good, the trend's still positive, but you're also dealing with a stock, that's really up 25-30% on this last run. To pull back to $5 would not be a big deal there. Okay. Let's take a look here at some of the things that yesterday kind of made some really nice signals. Okay. Here's DuPont. All right, open lower this morning, going higher now. For those looking to add positions, okay, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for something. Yes, fine. Who cares? It opens weak after yesterday. Sure, everything is. But if it's able throughout the day today to kind of mount and charge and put on some gains here today, that's a really good sign that fund managers are willing to step in. They're willing to be buying this into a Christmas rally. DuPont, just a fabulous setup overall here. Okay. FedEx, all right, FedEx, which we talked about, above 140 would be really nice. So far, no. Okay, so far, no, nothing there to to really go after. UPS, kind of the same way. You take a look at things like Lockheed Martin after their big surge yesterday, pulling back $1 today. Is this action bearish? A lot of times this action is referred to as Harami action. Occasionally, you'll see it do something like what it did here in August, where it has the nice up signal. Pulls back a couple days before charging higher. Okay, we very much could see that happen, and kind of the Boeing, the Lockheed, the Raytheons, they're all kind of doing the same here today. Trinity, TRN, pushing up into the upper bands here. Some good volumes been mounting. Very, very nice signal yesterday. Continued strength here today with Trinity. Yeah, Traytown, your AKS is rocking. Yep. The AKS, really good news on that. Look, is AKS overbought from a technical standpoint? Sure. Is that news really good for it? I mean, earnings news is what creates different price levels on stocks, and that earning news very positive for AKS. Cummins here, getting a little bit of gap up. Very nice move yesterday. Cummins builds, a lot of the engines and whatnot for Deere and Caterpillar. And for Deere and Caterpillar doing very well overall over the last couple weeks. Definitely bodes well here for Cummins. Matt, I haven't gone and looked at some of the news out on Cummins recently, but from a pure technical standpoint, this is a very bullish looking chart. Okay. Yeah, Max, CLF ready to move with steel. Yeah. CLF here has had a pullback, a nice little about 20% pullback here, and starting to push back above the 7. Some decent volumes coming in. Those looking to buy, CLF here, it's a real nice setup. CLF is more iron ore than steel, but it tends to kind of trade with that steel sector. In that group, there's things like STLD. And STLD, Steel Dynamics, got hit real hard yesterday on some big volume. And, this has been creating potentially a top, potentially a bullish consolidation here. Anything above 19 on STLD bodes really well, okay? The bull's argument out here is that we haven't even started any sort of cyclical recovery where we see, steel, and where we see some of the big industrials really outperform. Okay, and so the bulls overall here, as they look at the market, they say, hey, you know what? We're still set for things like U.S. Steel and Steel Dynamics and Nucor and CLF to kind of double or even triple. I mean, the shorts are still heavily involved in them. They've gotten out a little bit, but that's kind of the bullish argument overall. Yeah, Costco. Costco here, nice little move yesterday, pulling back a little bit here today. Kind of like most everything else, just a little bit of a pullback. With Costco here, the same type of move as Boeing, right? To see it come down here into the 117, even 116 and a half. AK, I think 117 would be a little bit of a tight stop overall. For Costco, 117 would be maybe a little bit too tight. 116 and a half would be a little bit more reasonable. Okay, but at the same time, anything like this, okay, you get confirmation as these things dip, and if they start to break yesterday's highs, you get confirmation that boom, ready to go. Okay. Yeah, Jeff, after the exuberance from yesterday, will we see some level off of the market in the short term? We could. Overall, take a look at what the market is here today. Let me zoom in. Look how small that candle is relative to yesterday. The most recent kind of pullback that we had in the market, a similar event was September, October, where we had the jobs report come out and the big uptick here. The next day, the market actually went down. The market pushed lower in the morning, was down about 5 points, 6 points in the morning, and you can't even tell it on the candle now because basically midday buying came in and things started to push up there. So could there be some leveling off? Sure. Our volume's going to potentially lighten up as we head into the end of the year. Yeah. Uh, but given what we've seen most of 2013, we would expect to see some follow through, not necessarily be 20 points a day up, but, the market really kind of just grind higher, 2 to 3 points a day on average, on a grind higher here. Okay. Yeah, AK on Costco. Yeah, 116 would be a better stop area there. Okay. KRE, okay, and KRE kind of doing what kind of the rest of the market is here, okay. Very nice move yesterday. Minor pullback here today. If you're in KRE, there's nothing to worry about. If you're looking to get in KRE, that next move above 40 is golden. I mean, you get 40, 40, 10. Hey, that's where you can say, hey, it's ready to move. Let's go with KRE. Okay. So Bank of America here, kind of pushing above yesterday's highs. Goldman Sachs slightly lower, but it's very hard to make any major bearish arguments about any of these individual stocks. Okay. Yeah, should we find some plays that take advantage of the theta decay for the holidays? Yeah, I mean, I can't argue that. There's not a whole lot of, the options in general aren't really expensive. Okay, in general. Now, there are some cases where that's different, but take a look at the drop in the VIX yesterday. I mean, this VIX tanked yesterday. And even though the market's slightly down on the open today, the VIX is still going down. Option values are contracting already. Yes, there's still some theta priced into them. Can you play some short options? Yeah. You can do that on a case-by-case basis. That's not something that we'll generally do for the challenge overall, but if you want to kind of look at something like an Exxon and say, well, let's go, sell some Exxon 98 puts, take advantage of maybe some of the theta that happens. Yeah, you can do that. Okay. If you're buying into some of the calls and everything like that, if you're in the money a little bit, the theta really isn't going to hurt you. As really, there's a long time till those January options expire. Target gapping down. Target made a beautiful move yesterday. From a technical standpoint, the way this thing bounced, the kind of the bear trap that it created, a beautiful move from a bullish side on a technical standpoint. Gapping down here today, as it was announced that their credit system was accessed, and that people could, that somebody could have access to customer credit card data. That's not good news. Is it terrible? Is it something that's never happened before? No. I mean, retail companies have been dealing with this type of thing for years. Okay, but Target, Walmart, for me, both of them, they're just not. There's nothing too exciting overall there. If I'm looking to play retail, you can kind of look and maybe play the consolidation here on Bed Bath & Beyond. Look to be a buyer around the 76 level, a seller up in the 78 level until you potentially get a breakout. You have something like Best Buy that has kind of just continued to grind higher. I'd rather play retail in those areas or to try to bottom pick with something like Costco than to mess with Target or Walmart at this moment here. Okay. The market itself, could go down here 1% today. Could end down something like 1%. Retrace much of the. In fact, let me put the retracement here. Retrace much of this move. Okay, you can kind of see as I put some of the retracements on yesterday's move, where that would bring things back. That would not be uncommon. Okay, that would not be uncommon for the market to do that type of retracement. At the same time, during 2013, we have consistently seen days like yesterday have small morning dips that just get bought up in the subsequent days going forward here. Okay. Yeah, Amazon. Amazon's one that we looked at for the challenge yesterday. We looked at Boeing, we looked at Amazon, had a nice move, and Amazon, same thing for same thing as Boeing, same thing as Goldman. A lot of these bull signals from yesterday, they're just a little bit flat this morning on the open. They start to move above yesterday's highs. There's confirmation, there's additional confirmation to the upside. I mean, Amazon yesterday gave confirmation to the upside for the Vibe Bulls. This trend's still strong. There's no real major resistance. It has all signs of wanting to push up above 400. A dollar move down really is more of an entry opportunity than a sell opportunity. Yeah, Kihu here. Kihu tried to flush yesterday. Buyers came back into the close, getting a little bit of a bounce here this morning. I'd still like to see Kihu trade above 80 to say, hey, you know what, we can get this move up to 90, 95, 100 for Kihu. But, this is kind of classic bearish breakdown, not getting a ton of follow through that really has been the hallmark of 2013. Priceline here, nice reversal, nice bullish reversal yesterday. Nothing bearish here. You do have contracting bands. Is it ready to move yet? It could. I mean, Christmas rally would be very positive for it. There's nothing bearish here on Priceline. Continues to be very strong. Very much like Apple as far as its pullback, right? Just slow, steady. Yesterday getting the push above the 7 and giving a reason to potentially be a buyer there. Where with Apple, you don't quite have that pushback above the 7 just yet. You need to be a little bit more cautious there. Okay, Chipotle, a nice little rally into the close yesterday. Some decent volumes, breaking back above the 7 here today. Those of you like myself that want to be buyers of Chipotle, today's action's phenomenal. Today's action's fantastic as far as, okay, Chipotle is ready to start to move, at least get up into the 535 area. If it starts to pierce the upper band, then yeah, we could expect more, but at least 15, 16 bucks higher from here on Chipotle Mexican Grill. Johnson and Johnson, and as Carl and I were kind of going through charts yesterday, and we looked at the consumer staples, and we said to ourselves, you know what, these are nice moves. These are generally bullish moves, but the whole consumer staples area just is a little concerning with interest rates rising, right? With interest rates going up, here you see the TNX, the 10-year note. Interest rates rising, that's tended to be a negative thing for these consumer staple stocks, and we just, it was a little bit tougher to say, hey, let's get in. Now, from a technical standpoint, is there anything majorly bearish with the consumer staples or with something like Johnson & Johnson, which trades like a consumer staple? No. You do have a little Harami-like action, but a move above 92.5 would confirm, all right, this is ready to really go and trade to the upside overall here. Okay. AK Google here. I mean, Google, kind of that same move as Amazon, the same move as many of the stocks out there, and the same action this morning. It's action that just really isn't bearish. If you're bullish and you're looking to get in, it's more of an entry type opportunity than it is a sell opportunity. Okay. Disney continuing on higher here. Cricket, you got a bunch of Disney there running higher. Disney continues to be very bullish. Continues to mount its gains. Price target 75 to 77 here on Disney, and so very, very nice move there. Yahoo's been kind of continuing its run, had a reversal like much of the other tech. You do have some weakening indicators overall, but no real sell volumes ever coming into Yahoo. Yahoo just continues to be a very nice upward trend with nothing to kind of say, hey, to say otherwise there. Okay. All right, Boeing here. Down about a dollar. When we got in yesterday, we was like, a dollar 50 lower. We could be just a dollar 50 early. Overall, nothing bearish about this morning's action here. Not a ton of volume with it. We do need to see some of these 133, 134 levels, hold up here and perform. But Boeing is a major uptrend overall, still trading above its 7-day moving average. Has had some very nice news. Would it be nice to see it trade above 136 here or close above 136 today? Yeah, if it closed above 136 today, that would give us an increased level of confidence on the trade. But with this pullback, there's just nothing bearish here to really kind of say, oh, okay, something's wrong. It's very much like Amazon. It's very much like like Google. Very much like Goldman, where all of these are just having small little pullbacks here. Okay. Alrighty, well, thanks for hopping on. Any questions, let us know. Carl will be with you for much of the day. I'll be on and off, but kind of going through a lot of the different charts. One quick announcement: have been asked about the holiday season, as far as Christmas and New Year's and all the other different holidays that are celebrated around this time. Next week on the 24th, the markets will close early on Tuesday. They will be closed on the 25th. And they will be closed then the week after on New Year's Day on the 1st. Now, as markets are open, we will be here at Trader Minute. Next week, one of the things we will do, we'll continue with the challenge. We'll continue with the challenge trades, but we're also going to run a education course between Christmas and New Year's, kind of the 26th to the 31st. That's very technical. Kind of the ABCs of technical analysis. We'll start at the beginning, get into some of the theories behind technical analysis, some of the major tools, and then some of the major uses in some of the various technical indicators out there. So we will be doing that next week. For those of you who won't be joining us, they will all be recorded for future playback. They will be there. Will be there for you. Okay. Also, for those of you who have asked about the next mini challenge will kick off here at the beginning of January. Carl and I will not run that challenge. That challenge will be run by a gentleman, a trader named Josh, and I will introduce you to him. He's very skilled as far as the markets come, been a very successful trader, and he'll be kind of taking you through the next mini challenge overall there. Okay. Vix, any updates on one more trade as far as Vibe and Trend Rider? Yeah, I'm going to leave that. Carl here has been kind of going through some of those here today, and I'll kind of leave you in his hands for that. He will be on chat talking about that. I haven't touched bases with him in the last half hour just since I've been on video as far as what his overall plan is with that. I know he was looking at something in the morning, looking at U.S. Steel, some of the news though, just kind of a little bit, hey, do you chase after that as far as which one does he want? We'll be talking about that. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.